Hello and welcome to the third episode of the official Memphis 901FC podcast. I'm Pete Pranica, your host and one of the voices of 901FC on television. We're now counting the hours until the season and the home opener against Las Vegas Lights. That's at 3 o'clock at AutoZone Park on Saturday afternoon. Now, hopefully you've got your tickets, but if not, get over to Memphis901FC.com or call the ticket office at 901-721-6000. On today's show, we visit with Stephen Glass, the second-year manager of 901FC. He runs us through the roster and talks about the identity of this 901FC team and how he approaches this season after a highly successful first campaign on the touchline. Now, one caveat about our chat, it was recorded a couple of weeks ago before the friendly at St. Louis City, which was a 1-1 draw. His focus was more on preseason training than on the opener with Las Vegas Lights. Also, we've got some news items to share about the club. That comes up in a bit, but now let's go all in with Stephen Glass. Stephen, as we record this, we've got 3 preseason matches in the books, a couple of draws, victory over the University of Memphis. What have you liked from what you've seen from your club so far?
I've liked how well it's come together quickly. I think there's an obvious work rate that's in the group. We were hoping for a good bit of quality as well, and I think that's come to fruit already. So pleased with a number of things. So yeah, the work rate, the togetherness, and the quality, which is everything that we were hoping it would be. As
you go back to training to get ready for March 9th, are there certain areas that you want to shore up a little bit? I mean, fitness might be part of it, but are there other things you want to tidy up?
I think the general fitness is getting close to being where we need it to be. I think the length of the pre-season has been a help this year, and the quality of games we've been able to attract. So I would say that's probably in hand. The quality in the final third is probably the main part that we need to focus on, because ultimately to win games you've got to score goals. We were brilliant at it last year. We were very high up in all the attacking metrics, which we need to continue to be dangerous. Defensively we were tough to play through, and I think that has to continue, but I think it's a little bit of all of those things are the focus as we go in. So we'll focus on attacking part one day, defending part another day, and continually try to brush up on all aspects. Really, it's a bit of a wishy-washy answer maybe, but it's the truth, and it's there's nothing really specific. The generalities of everything of our performance need to be better and need to continue to be looked at.
In some sports, they say that defense comes first and then offense kind of follows after that. Is that the same in football, where that quality in the final third, is that like the last piece that typically falls in place for clubs?
Yes, it's actually the hardest thing to do. But when we've got the number of creative players we do, I think a lot of it comes off of us putting them in positions and putting them in opportunities and situations to be creative. So I think the structure of the team is really important to that. Defensively, if the structure of your team is sound, you're less likely to give up chances. Structurally, if you're sound, you're more likely to create chances. So I think we look at the general structure. That's why I'm saying general in terms of both sides of the game. But I think the players understand that. The ones that were here last year understand how we work, and they're actually driving it as well. So it's not always the coaching voices that are pushing and being on everybody's case as such. The players take ownership of the situation, and we create the environment for them to thrive.
Who are some of the new players? We'll start in the back. We'll start between the sticks and start moving forward. Who are the key players? Because I know there's been a fair amount of roster turnover, and I'm sure supporters want to be introduced to some of the new people.
Yeah, well, if I forget any as we go here, you can keep me right as well. But so in the goal, we've signed Taylor Bailey late in the day, and we've signed Tyler Derrick earlier. So Tyler is very experienced, been a top goalkeeper in the division for a number of years, and we're delighted to get him in. He's going to help on the coaching front with the goalkeepers, so that's important as he moves into the next phase of his career as a player coach at the moment, ultimately being just a coach at some point. So we can help him along the way while he helps us keep clean sheets, so it's a win-win for everyone. Taylor is here to compete, as is Tyler, so it's not a number 1-2 situation, but so that both goalkeepers are here. Taylor's not played as much as he might have liked over the last few years, but he's here and he's hungry. He's a local Tennessee native, so if we can get some of them in the door, it's always nice, and the fans can relate to a guy like that too. Defensively, I normally start at one side and work across. So,
okay.
You can start at both sides, because Oscar Jimenez has come in, can play both sides. A guy that's won the championship a number of times, I think, a couple of times.
Yeah, with Lou City, right?
Yeah. So a top player, being in a big environment in a place where you're expected to win. So we're looking to bring in guys that are used to the expectation that we put on players. So Oscar, good professional, great quality, both sides of the pitch, so that's a big help for us. Alvaro Quezada, he's a fullback as well. He came in to train last year for a little bit and we never had space, but we kept him on the radar. We knew that if we could add him, we would. So the fact that he was still available was a huge bonus for us, because he can come and really help the fullback areas. At centre back, Tulu from San Antonio, powerful presence, great lad, good in the locker room. Again, come from San Antonio, used to winning things, used to competing at the top end, and used to being driven every day. Fitted really well into the group, as they all have. So I won't say that they've all fitted in the group, because they have. So we won't go down that line. And then a big AB, Sissoko, come from a good club, played a good number of MLS games, hoping that we can drive the standard of our group a little bit. And he's already starting to do that, show his presence. And I think that's it for the defensive group. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, those are the new guys. Then you got Akeem Ward's back.
Yes, of course. Yeah. The existing ones are all there. This is where I will forget people if we talk existing ones. So Akeem's still here. Akeem's been brilliant. I think he played every game last year. The one he didn't start was the one he actually scored in, which is kind of weird, but there you go. So Akeem's back, delighted to be here, a real leader in the group as well, and he's kind of grown into that role, I think. Turchi's back, Carson's back, they're both centre backs. Turchi can play anywhere for us. Carson's done well last year too as a young pro coming in. I think that's it for the defenders.
I think that's it. Let's go to the midfield. I know everyone wants to talk about Zach Duncan.
Yes, yeah. So do we, because we're delighted that we managed to get him. So right from the start, Caleb introduced Zach Duncan to me. Have a look at this lad, see what you think. And during the conversation, as I'm watching him, and myself and Caleb are on the phone for 30 minutes minimum, as we always are, and I'm watching on the laptop and I'm saying, can we definitely get this lad? So answer was yes. So I said, we'll get off the phone and start making the calls you need to make, because that's more important than me speaking to you. So yeah, so Zach Duncan, he's going to be a brilliant player for us as a group. The fans are really going to love what they see. He can drive the game, he gets around the pitch, he can score, he's tough in the tackle. A top midfield player, coming from a really good league, a top midfield player. Emerson Hyman's back, Cariaga's back, Lapa's back, Leston is back, obviously, and we're trying to help him into the coaching realms, so he's excited about that. We're excited to have him and excited to help him. So he's actually almost in that position already, unnamed. So it's good to be able to keep him really close to us and give him more insight, which he understands anyway, but I think it'll help him as he moves through his career too.
And he's such a tremendous leader, and he's been here from day one, so that institutional knowledge and just his natural charisma, I think, is helpful in the locker room, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got a charisma, he's got a presence, he understands what a staff needs, he obviously understands what a playing group needs, and he's really good at being the bridge between the two. So I think he's invaluable for us. I recognised that probably after a week of being in the door. I'd brought teams and played against Leston. At that point I felt like you were in the second team, and Leston's got ice here in Memphis, and felt like he knew how to play referees, that sort of thing. So he's an experienced pro.
What, Leston talking to referees? I've never seen that.
Yeah, no, he's good at it. He's good at it. Obviously, I don't think we got treated the best last year, but hopefully Leston more helping us do that will change that. But let's see. I think in terms of midfield players, I think that's us. Mm-hmm. So forward players, we've added Nico Brett. He's coming in late, but we're excited for him. He'll help Knight, he'll push Knight. He's one of the top goal scorers ever in the USL, so to be able to bring him in was, again, exciting for us and a great opportunity, and we're pleased that Nico wanted to do it, so that was great. Wide players, Luis comes back. We've added in Marlon Santos, who people know him, he can score goals, he can make goals, he's quick, he's direct. He competes. For anybody that came to watch the University of Memphis game the other night, you could see right. He's a tough competitor. I think when you're looking for wingers, I think a lot of times people would question the work rate of wingers. I don't think if Luis and Marlon are there, no one's going to question the work rate of those two lads. Right. So that's really important. Noe Meza we added in. Noe can play both sides. He can play almost as a number 10. Really creative, can score a goal, positive player. Dylan Borzak's back, and I'm hoping I've not missed anyone out but I don't think so.
But looking for a big year from Knight Pickering.
Yes.
Because this is, year 3 for him here now in Memphis, I think?
Yeah, year 3. I'll give him a bye for year 1 because I wasn't here. But
okay.
I'll count it as year 2 for me. So I think we're looking for a continued growth in him. I know that there are clubs that like the look of him already, and it's part of your job here when you're at Memphis to promote young players, push them and drive them on to the next level. Knight is a dedicated young man. It's sometimes difficult to comprehend the fact he's only 19 when you see him physically, and I think he's really grown under the stewardship probably of Leandro on the fitness side and the sports science, and he's kind of ran with that a little bit, Knight, and he's a powerful boy. He's still grown into his body, and I think you'll see a more rounded player this year. And I think he knows what he has to do. He's got to continue working hard. He gets opportunities, he's got to score goals, and I think he's willing and looking for that pressure on himself. So it's going to be a big year for him, as it is for everyone at the club. But you specifically asked me about Knight, so yeah.
Well, and you mentioned the 30-minute telephone calls with Caleb Patterson-Sewell and watching guys on laptops. So when you look at, okay, we have these holes to fill in our club. What is that dynamic like with you, Caleb, and Tim, A, identifying the players, and then B, recruiting the players to get them to Memphis? And as you also touched on, you have players that have come from winning situations that want to come to Memphis. So obviously you guys are doing something right to bring them here where they can win more.
Yeah, so well, from the start, it can go a multitude of different ways. Tim, myself, or Caleb can present a player and say, here, this has been presented to me. Then we discuss it, we look at it, pros and cons, can we afford them, which is important for us, obviously, as a club, and would he want to come? The other way that happens a lot is agents will go directly to Caleb, being the assistant sporting director and really, really hands-on in that role. They'll present players to Caleb. He'll almost sift through them. We don't need that position. We do need that position. So not everything comes to me, essentially. So Caleb's obviously filtering through things. Then he might say, we've got a chance of these 4 lads. I know we've discussed already, we need this position, that position. Then we start really knuckling down. He'll say, watch these, wipe them off if you don't want any. I'll go get more names. Or you like those 2 or 3, let's do some real homework, talk to. So let's say a situation with like 3 players for central midfield. Right, okay, I like any of them. This is my preference. We'd probably talk to all 3 of them, give them what we've got here, present to them, this is what we've got in Memphis, this is how we work, this is what we like to do, this is what we were last year, this is where we think we're going. And you get a feel for the character of that player. Does he want to come? Is he coming because he's got nothing else? Is he coming because he thinks we can help his career on the next level? And that's a young player, that's a senior player, like we're talking Oscar, who has won the division before, could have stayed in Louisville, chooses to come here because he thinks he's maybe got more opportunity to continue playing all the time, and still thinks he can win. So I think that's probably that in a nutshell how it goes. But it's been important to us that players want to come, work and live in Memphis, and work the way that we work. So we don't hide what we don't have. We celebrate the things that we do have, and we show how much we can prolong or make their careers better.
As a manager, you're dealing with players that may have come from Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago. Zach Duncan was playing in Denmark, but he's native Australian. What does a manager have to do to meld all these different cultures and different backgrounds where, maybe they're playing in a league where there's relegation, or they're playing in a second division, or, and Zach even alluded to it on media days, like it's a really, really hard transition to come from Australia, then Denmark, and then Memphis. So what's your role as a manager to kind of bring everybody together with those circumstances?
Yeah, I think you have to take it into consideration, but it's almost an oxymoron, I think is the correct word. You've got to ignore it at the same time, because they're here. Everybody that's here is here because they believe that we can win. So I think we try and set an environment as a group of staff and existing players that anyone new coming in feels like we can win. This is how we work towards winning, and that's how we're going to go. It's not, you did this last year, so let's try and mould ourselves as a club and as a group to what you would like it to be. This is what we're going to be, this is how we're going to work, and this is how we drive things. So I think that's probably how we're able, and I'm saying, you ask me, but I say that's how we manage to get people on the same page, I think. Having The coaching staff is quite diverse, that we've played in different places and different cultures, so that probably helps as well. What did we like as players and staff in different places? So I think you can almost put that all into one pot, mix it up, and hope you've got the right ingredients and the right recipe. So it's a challenge for a group of staff, but I think we're on the right track. I think we showed last year we can keep a group of players driving in the right direction right to the end, and I think the fuel of feeling hard done by at the end is going to drive us this year.
Yeah, there's a certain element of disappointment to lose on penalties, and Aiden's last penalty just goes inches wide of the post, and I know there was tremendous heartbreak for anybody who supports 901 FC. This is your second year here. Is there anything in your managerial style or the way that you're approaching the season that is maybe a little different this year because of something you learned last year, or is it now we're good where we're at?
I think we're good where we're at. We're continually evolving though. I don't think you can stand still, otherwise everyone else that's improving, they're going to overtake us. So I think we've got ourselves a position last year that you certainly don't want to drop below. So that's the minimum that we're looking at this year. We would be doing the players a disservice that we've brought in if we're willing to settle for similar or less. So they know that we're here to try and drive this on, and it'll be difficult. We know that, but we're here and we want to win. And if it was going to be easy, I don't think I particularly want to be here. I think I want it to drive, and I will not accept it to be less than it was last year. Myself personally, I think tolerance of the officiating might need to go up. I think they're going to be nailing down on dissent and things like that, and I know sometimes the fans maybe don't feel that you're engaged in games if you're not giving it to the ref, but I think it's important that we're at the side as a staff for the whole season. So there will be times where they might want you to go if you're not at the referee, but inside we are, and at the right time we do. But I think we need to be a little bit more tolerant of that. Myself as a leader of the group, and show them the way. I think
I don't know that there's a manager or coach in any sport that doesn't have issues with the officiating from time to time, particularly the subjectivity of some of the things that happen on the pitch. Moving to the Western Conference this year, the team had always been in the Eastern Conference. Is there really any change outside of more and longer travel, or is it just business as usual?
I think in terms of which affects the budget, more expensive travel, so the club gets hit for that, which is difficult, so we almost get hard done by with that before we go in. But I think Memphis as a club, we never seem to get the best of things from the outside, so we understand that, and we almost again use that as a fuel. That it's I've seen t-shirts here, Memphis against everybody, so yeah. I think we don't mind a little bit of that, so it's important we use that to drive us on. In terms of the travel itself, we can use that as an excuse, but I think when you look at it, it is different, but we went to those places last year anyway, or half of them. We're always a double flight when we're going anywhere, even East Coast, so we can almost present that to the players as a problem, or we sometimes on the West Coast you actually get more rest after the travel with the time difference, so it gives you more opportunity to train, prepare, and try and spin it as a positive and actually use it as a positive. So yeah, we're not, me personally, I'm not a guy that looks for excuses. The staff do not, and I think the players already kind of smelled it. The ones from last year certainly do. The ones that are coming in know we're not here to look for excuses. One of the points that Caleb actually makes on the calls is if you look for excuses here, you'll find them. So we make sure we don't look for them.
Have you had a chance to look at Las Vegas, that you're going to open against them on March 9th?
Not as a team. I've actually got a way that I think we might be able to, but I've actually not spoke to Caleb about that yet. I need to discuss that. But I've looked at obviously the players they've signed. I think they've probably went from one of the lower budget teams to probably one of the higher budget teams quickly, which probably moves us down another notch in terms of the budget in the league, which I don't think there's anywhere else to go. So it's I think it's another team that spends more than us, that expect more than us, but not internally. So I think we expect a lot from our group, and I'm looking forward to March 9th already. I know Vegas will be tough. We felt a little bit hard done by against them last year. I think if the storm came 2 minutes earlier, we're probably going in, sitting inside, riding out a storm at 2-1 up. So probably unfinished business on that, in that respect, and I just think the group are looking forward to playing whoever came here March 9th and to start getting points on the board already.
I was listening to an interview that you had done some time ago talking about your upbringing in Scotland and playing on pitches that were basically gravel and not a whole lot of grass. What lessons have you picked up through your football career, particularly as a player, that now you put to use as a manager of a club?
There's a lot. Probably the biggest one is that if you don't work hard, it's a guarantee you're not going to do well. And the flip side of that is you can work hard and it's not a guarantee you're going to do well. But the guarantee is if you don't, you're going to earn nothing, going to win nothing. And I think it's important, the professionalism that it takes to be a pro is huge. The dedication it takes is a lot of time, it's a lot of dedication. Even you go home in the middle of summer and it's, do you go and sit at the pool or do you stay inside and rest properly and don't take the energy out of your body? How willing are you to do what it takes when people are not watching to be a top pro, so that when the prizes get handed out at the end of the year that you're the ones that are picking them up? Like, what are the sacrifices? I like to try and put that to players, almost prick their conscience a little bit maybe, because you can't tell them what to do, but the experience and being able to do that is invaluable. I think the fact that they know that the staff have been through it, I think that helps. So we're not asking them to do things that we wouldn't do ourselves, and that we continue to do ourselves. We do sacrifice family time. We do sacrifice a lot of enjoyable things you might choose to do when we're preparing for matches and things like that. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is the professionalism and the dedication.
Last thing for you, every successful club, regardless of the sport, every successful organization, regardless of what field they're in, they have a particular identity that they can rely on day after day after day. Tell our supporters the identity of this 901 FC club and what they can look for starting on March 9th.
Pure hard work and a determination to win every week, and a determination not to get beat. I think they'll see it with high quality. One of the supporters actually said to me, going off after one of the games last year when we'd won, I think it was when we beat Silverbacks. Switchbacks. Silverbacks would have been a few years ago. Yeah. But the Switchbacks, we were down to 10 men, a goal down, and we ended up winning 2-1. And it was incredible. But I don't care that we won. The fight that we saw in the team, if we have that every week, we're here. And I think the supporters will see that from our team this year.
Stephen, thanks so much for the time, and really looking forward to March 9th.
Cheers, Pete. Thank you.
I'm not sure if you know all about Glassy's background, but he started his career as a footballer with Aberdeen, where he helped his club to the 1995 Scottish League Cup. Then 3 years later, moved to England, was transferred to Newcastle United until 2001. He also featured for Watford in the First Division before returning to Scotland with Hibernian in 2003. He finished his playing career actually in the United States with the Carolina Railhawks. Then after an assistant coaching stint with Shamrock Rovers, he came to Atlanta and spent 4 years in the organization. He was working with the club's academy and then also as manager of the Atlanta United 2 side in USL Championship. Also spent time as the interim manager of the MLS club. Also briefly served as the manager of Aberdeen in 2021 before coming to Memphis. In his first season, 901 FC finished fourth in the Eastern Conference, winning 14, losing 10, and drawing 10. Now, Memphis will start the 2024 season against Las Vegas Lights, a team that managed just 3 wins last season while losing 21 of 34 matches. Last April 15th, the Lights came to Memphis. They broke through in the 15th minute before Jeremy Kelly got the home side level. Luis Fernando gave Memphis the lead, but the Lights equalized in the 78th minute to split the points. This season, the Lights are looking to Corey Bennett to punch up their attack. Now, last year, he played for USL 1 side Charlotte Independence, 6 goals in 30 appearances, and also 2 more in U.S. Open Cup play. 2 overall seasons with the Independents for Bennett, 17 goals and 3 assists in league fixtures. Finally, got some notes before we sign off here. 901 FC and St. Louis City 2 drew at 1 last Saturday in the final friendly for 901 FC. The match was not open to the public, so very little details to be had. Afterwards, Stephen Glass told me he was pleased with his club enduring what he thought was a particularly physical encounter. Now, 901 FC will also once again participate in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. All 36 USL clubs will participate, continuing a 30-year relationship between the USL and the U.S. Open Cup. The Open Cup is the oldest ongoing national soccer competition in the U.S. and the world's 3rd longest continuously run national cup tournament. Last year, Memphis earned a thrilling victory over Atlanta United in the Cup before being knocked out by Birmingham Legion. This season, as one of the top 16 teams in the championship, Memphis will enter in the 3rd round, which will be played April 16th and 17th. Finally, Memphis 901 FC has its new kits and a new sponsor, and it is a first. 901 FC has partnered with international nonprofit organization Cancer Kickers Soccer Club as the official front of kit sponsor. Third-generation Memphian and business owner Chris Clothier established Cancer Kickers in 2016 with a mission to provide comfort, community, and connections to children fighting cancer. Not only will the club have the logo on the front of the kit, but 10% of all jersey sales revenue will benefit Cancer Kickers, and Section 119 in AutoZone Park will now be the Cancer Kickers Soccer Club section. A portion of the proceeds from each single game ticket will go to Cancer Kickers. It's a great idea. 901 FC will be the first to have a nonprofit as its front of kit sponsor. I should also tell you, Dos Pilates and Yoga is the official training jersey sponsor, and this year also marks the first season of the club partnering with Charlie for all their kit and apparel needs. All right, that is all I have for now. We are looking forward to Saturday afternoon at AutoZone Park as Memphis 901 FC takes on Las Vegas Lights. Tickets at memphis901fc.com or call the ticket office at 901-721-6000. 901 FC at home Saturday afternoon for the opener. Time to go all in.